All right. So with that,
Anita,
yeah,
before you get going, so what is our current status with students? We need how many
we
and
need
from where?
from William Fleming. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And how many?
Just one.
And but other than that, we're okay for next year?
We're okay for next year. Yes, sir. So definitely we need to all be recommending a student from William Fleming to serve as a liaison. There's another piece that I want to get to, but about our meeting day. We need to have a conversation about that. Um, so anyway, as I was saying about the minutes, I don't think we have a quorum, but please read the minutes. Now, before we get on with elections, as you see the agenda, and I want to welcome Aisha. Yay! She's going to be helping us this afternoon as Angie is multitasking. But let's take a minute before we get into our business and welcome our newest member to Youth Services Board, Mr. Doug Pitzer. So, Doug, if you would take a couple of minutes and let's hear from you, and then I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Okay, that sounds great. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for the nomination. I was very surprised. A little bit about myself. I've been back in Roanoke since 2017. I was teaching abroad for 2 years over in the Dominican Republic. Since my return back to Roanoke, I've been a teacher at Fleming. I've been a teacher at Stonewall Jackson. I had a small term working with the social services department. Currently, I'm on the board of the Mill Mountain Zoo. I'm on the executive board of the Humble Hustle Company Incorporated. And I believe there's a couple other things I can't remember, but that's just kind of a gist. I'm really involved in the community with our middle school and elementary kids. And that's something that kind of tied into what I want to do here on the board, is just honestly bring a lot of information to the people on the board. For example, through the Higher Education Center, there's a lot of scholarships right now through an individual I met. And I would like to bring information like that to this board to get it out to the youth, because that's what they're looking for.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, just from that brief introduction, you sound like the perfect match for this board. Since I'm talking, I'll just introduce myself very quickly. I'm a retired educator, Roanoke City Schools. After 35 years school system, and I served on Roanoke City Council for 12 and a half years, and currently serving as the chair of our reinstated Youth Services Board. And we all work very diligently to help our youth as much as we possibly can. So welcome, we're glad to have you. Ben, we'll go to you next.
Yes, I'm Ben Bazak. I'm a retired math teacher from Patrick Henry. And been on the youth board a good bit. I guess it's been, I don't know, it's getting to be about 7, 8 years. I'm also on the library board and on the board at CHIP.
Thank you, sir. Angela, we'll go to you next. Angela Wimberly.
Hello, I'm Angela Wimberly. I'm the Recruitment and Retention Coordinator for Roanoke City Schools. And I was an educator for 23 years and loved every moment of it. And Ben, if you ever want to come back and teach math at PH, give me a call.
Thank you. Pamela Smith.
Hi, I'm Pamela Smith. I am an aspiring retiree. I am the senior advocate for youth advocate programs. I also serve on the planning commission, and it's nice to meet you, Mr. Spitzer.
Wonderful. And Joyce Watkins.
Hi, Doug, if we may call you Doug. I'm Joyce Watkins. I can't remember when I got on this board. I want to say it was 2016, and I am one of your school board trustees for Roanoke City Schools. And before that, I was just an average businesswoman citizen. That was my role on this board.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, George. All right, Mr. Jim O'Hare.
Hi, Doug. I'm Jim O'Hare. I'm Youth Care Administrator for the City of Roanoke.
You're so humble. Is that it, Jim? Bless you.
I'm the chair of RACE too. Okay.
He wears many, many hats in the city. You'll get, if you haven't met him, as with all these folks, you'll get to see they are multi-talented. All right, Mr. JD, glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Miss Price. You're looking beautiful as always.
You're too kind.
Oh, wow.
We're introducing ourselves to our newest board member.
Absolutely. Mr. Pitzer, it's great to hear everything you've got going on in the community already. My name is JD Carlin. I am actually not an official member of the board. I attend because of my role as the the coordinator of development and evaluation for prevention and wellness services within Blue Ridge Behavioral Health Care. So we have various youth leadership teams and things along those lines. So there's just a lot of overlap and a lot of things we think we can bring in, certainly a lot of things going on here that we think we can get to our youth, because there's just so many great things that this group does. And so I'm not a board member, but try to make those connections.
You are most certainly much, much, much appreciated. All right, let's go to Charlize Parker.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chelsea, and I work with the libraries. I'm the early literacy librarian, and I have been on this board since the beginning. I also need to leave at 5 today, so I won't be on long. So if we want to have our meetings at Gainesboro Library, Angie, just email me and I'll set that up. But welcome.
Excellent. Great, great, great. And I see Javion. Are you there, dear?
Yes, ma'am. I'm on my lunch break. Sorry for the camera off.
Thank you.
I look a hot mess. I'm trying to shove down my sandwich right quick before I gotta go. But I am Javion Tucker. I am the youth representative from Patrick Henry, and yes, that's all.
Oh, bless you. Okay, Javion, thank you, darling. All right, so that's who we are.
Anita, we had a quorum.
I'm not sure if we do. 1, 2. You know what? Well, Chelsea says she has to jump off. I think we do. So let's go ahead, since Javion and Chelsea are here, and Dina just popped in. We have a quorum. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask, and I think we need to have our minutes from April and from May. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
All right, thank you. It's been motioned by Angela Wimberly and seconded by Pamela Smith that we approve the minutes from our April and our May meetings. All those in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposition? Thank you. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ben, so we can get that done. All right. We have a revised agenda in front of us, and I'm going to switch things around a little bit. I want to go to our elections, and I asked Angela Wimberly if she would conduct those elections. We do need to, for the purposes of our minutes and record keeping, to keep us honest. So we are in need of chair and vice chair, and Angela, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you.
Happy to help. So let's start with chair. Do we have any nominations for chair of the Youth Services Citizen Board?
Anita.
Second.
Third.
I
Okay,
move
so
that the
let's,
nominations be closed.
okay, let's move this. Thank you so much, Mr. Bazak. Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. So let's vote. All in favor of Mrs. Price being the chairperson, please indicate aye by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I don't need to do a roll call, do I? Okay. All right, so the ayes have it. Ms. Price, you are our new chair.
Thank you.
Let's move on to vice chair. Could I please have a nomination from the floor for vice chair?
Karen.
Second.
Third.
Four.
I move that the nominations be closed.
Okay, thank you for the nomination for Karen and the closing of it. All in favor for Karen being our vice chair, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Welcome
Okay, the
to
ayes have it. Karen, you are our new vice chair.
Yay.
And lastly, we need a nomination for secretary.
Oh, we do not. That's part of the result. So we won't need a nomination for secretary.
Okay, well, it looks like our elections are closed now. Thank you so much, guys, for being efficient, and we will move it back over to our old/new chairperson, Mrs. Price.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Because Aisha and Angie are appointed by the as staff members, they will continue to keep us, you know, as Aisha's been doing, keep us together. So thank you also very, very much. To Dina and to Karen, who just joined us, we have a new board member who has just been appointed and voted in by Roanoke City Council. This is Doug Pitzer. So, and Lorena, I think that's Lorena. She's at work, I think. Yes, okay. So Dina, I'm sorry, Dina, Karen. Karen is already unmuted. Karen, as you just heard, was reinstated as our vice chair. So Karen, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Karen Pillis. I am currently the Director of Mental Health Services at Family Service of Roanoke Valley. I have been involved with this almost from the beginning. I think they might have met for just a little while without me. And I'm really proud of the work that we do as a group and want to welcome you to our merry mischief makers.
Yes, thank you, dear. And Miss Dina Hackley Hunt, so good to see you always, dear.
Hello. Hi, I'm Dina Hackley Hunt. I'm the Director of Education and Outreach for SARA Roanoke. SARA is the Rape Crisis Center for the Roanoke Valley. And I've been involved in various ways, whatever Miss Anita says, probably for years, even before she was actually an official part of this. And so I'm just prevention girl at heart, a rabid youth advocate, and will stay as long as they let me. So welcome aboard and hello.
Bless you. Awesome. And our last board member that just commit, I call this a committee. Lorena, you want to take a minute to introduce yourself? Please don't fall.
Hello, my name is Lorena Wilson, and I think I've been on this board since almost the beginning. Anita James Price is the one who brought me on here, and whatever she tells me to do, I do. I work for the Roanoke City Circuit Court, and I'm a part of the NAACP Youth Council. I'm a part of the Continental Society. I'm a part of Jack and Jill organization, and I'm the founder of the Marcus M. Wilson Scholarship. So that is me being a part of this youth service board, and welcome to the team.
All right. And Doug, I hope you can tell that we represent many, many, many facets of organizations and touchstones to, different aspects working with you. All right, so before Javion has to leave us, we need to talk a little bit about our upcoming meetings. And we may not get this settled today, but it's obvious that for our students, meeting on a Monday afternoon is just not conducive. So what I'm going to suggest, rather than us try to hammer this out right now, I'll ask Angie if she could send out a doodle, you know what I'm trying to say, poll thing, to see what's a good day for our students. I know that the youth council, the NAACP youth council, they meet on Sunday afternoons. So I'm just gonna ask that we just do a poll and see if we can find, I think Javion says he's off on Tuesdays, but that may not work for the other students. So I want you to be aware of that. And that's something that we've been struggling with for a while, because our young people are busy and they work. Also, and Douglas, do you go by Doug or Douglas?
I prefer either one, doesn't matter.
Bless you. As you heard me answering Ben earlier, Lorena's daughter was one of our youth representatives at William Fleming High School, and she has recently graduated. Yay, Brianna. So we are going to need a representative from Fleming. We prefer to have an undergrad student, someone either freshman or sophomore, someone that can stay with the group, hopefully, during the entirety of their time being at school.
Okay, because I was gonna suggest a junior, 2 juniors actually, but if you're looking for undergrad, there's a young lady by the name of Remy, but I can't think of her last name right now. She is coming in as a freshman. So coming from Breckenridge Middle School. So I'm trying to think of more kids, but almost every kid I'm thinking about is a junior or a senior. So
okay,
is a junior.
I think one junior would be okay, Anita, don't you think? I mean, if we had a junior and a freshman, then they'd have 2 years.
They would have the 2 years. Christian will be graduating this next year.
So we're only looking for one.
Yeah, we only need the one. I'm just so everyone knows what the makeup of the group for our students right now. Christian is the William Fleming young man who's still our rep. And like I said, he will be graduating next year. Javion, do you have anything you want to share, darling? I don't want to not give you time to speak up.
No, ma'am, I'm trying to think of a person from Fleming, but it's not, nothing's coming up.
Okay, well.
I only know juniors and seniors.
So for all of us, that's just something for us all to be, thinking about, to find a recommendation for a student. Okay. Any other questions or?
Can I weigh in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Ben.
I'm going to show my institutional ignorance and also, probably not even current event knowledge, but do we have or have we had a very strong representation from the Latinx community?
Ooh.
One time. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name.
Do we currently?
Louis.
No, not now. No. In the past, we have, but not now. Yeah, Louis Garcia, right? But that, yeah, thank you.
I just want to put that bug in people's ear. That's an ever growing. At CHIP, I know won't be long before we'll probably be 50% Latinx.
So we've just started a program with Casa Latina to do mental health services out there. So I mean, I have Chris Tilly Lubbs, Tilly, whatever her name is. I mean, I meet with her weekly, so I can certainly see if they have somebody that they would recommend, because they're already hooked into a community program. You know, they're active and seeing out there. So I can investigate that if you would like for me to.
That sounds like a winner.
I was going to ask, are there any requirements for the individual student that's selected, such as a GPA requirement or anything of that?
No, there is
Okay.
none.
Well, I have a large amount of individual students coming from middle school, actually going towards high school right now. It wouldn't be an issue for me to put out a flyer. I just want to know what's the proper way to do it. Letting them know that we are looking for an individual before the beginning of the school year, and we could make this something as simple as provide an essay of why you think you should be on it, and maybe 2 recommendations, and we can have a nice pool of individuals to choose from.
I think you're on to something, Doug. I'll be honest with you. Normally, we just take recommendations from this group. So if you want to kind of look them over, you know what? I think perhaps it would be helpful also. Please go back and read our previous minutes.
Okay.
So that you can get a real feel for, we're not looking for, you know, a student that is the varsity football coach. I mean, not coach, you know, starter or anything like that. But we do want students who are engaged and willing to be involved with what this group.
With a bunch of old heads.
Gotcha.
Old heads. Yeah, keep us together.
No, they keep us young.
They do. And the other thing too, that, like I said, now Javion, bless his heart, he's here on his lunch break. But that our students have been so helpful in keeping us old heads straight. Not you, Doug, because you ain't an old head. Obviously, you ain't an old head. And Pamela, I don't think I can put you in that category either. But anyway, but we
I don't want to be in there either.
Okay, you too. Oh God, and not Angela. All right, let me stop. I'm getting myself in trouble. But we try to stay current for what are the needs of the youth. And if you look back at what we've done in the past, we have had a wealth of youth summits in over the last few years. And this really segues into the next portion of our conversation we need to have. So we're not going to be able to get it all planned today, but I have heard back through Joyce and Lorena and Lutheria Smith, that the superintendent was definitely very thrilled with what we're presenting. And as we did, when was that? We just met with Joe. That was month before last. We've got a lot to offer, and we know how to put a youth summit together. We know how to touch the right pieces that need to be presented. So from what I've been hearing, there is a strong desire to do something around prevention of youth violence and youth being caught up in gangs. So that's what I want to kind of present to you guys first, as far as that might, does that sound like a focus that we as a group can wrap our heads around to work on? And I'll be quiet now.
I don't think, remember now, I remember somewhere I've heard where they no longer consider themselves gangs. It's like Wrap the Hood or something of that statute, because it's basically getting protection to be, you know, in the neighborhood that they live in. It's like, and then, so I wouldn't want to say, I don't know if we want to use that word gangs, or, you know, maybe use the terminology that the young people are using. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, sure.
I
Okay.
don't think we use
Other-
any of that. I think we used, I mean, I think we approach it from a positive angle, but I think the question is, do we want to approach it at all?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
our kids, our youth, sorry, Javion, I called you kid, our youth, when we talk about approaching, you know, the youth on this committee seemed to not feel like they were impacted by that as much as maybe some other kids are, because our youth have a lot going for them and aren't maybe as vulnerable.
Hmm.
And maybe they are, but so I think that if we're going to, we have one youth among us today, if we're going to do it, if we're going to say from our perspective, that's what we need to do, that is not how we've done things in the past necessarily. So I think we would need, I'd like to have some more youth voice.
Okay.
And having said that, I do think that's what we ought to do. So I absolutely think that's what we ought to do. I mean, I've been pushing to do this. So I definitely think that's what we need to do. Let the kids speak, let the youth speak of what, kind of like a little bit like what TAP did this last week.
Mhm.
But since I wasn't able to be here, since I was on vacation, I did not actually hear it, but I hear it was powerful. The stories were powerful. And so I think that would be great.
Karen, I'm glad you brought that up. And Lorena also mentioned it. Last Wednesday, TAP had young men through one of their programs who have been affiliated with gangs or whatever it is, the terminology that they're using. But they were able to speak candidly because they were behind a stage curtain. So Angela Williams, who conducted the questions, she would ask and then they would respond. So they were totally, completely honest because they did not have to feel like their identities were being revealed or anything. So yeah, it was very powerful. And the takeaway that I got was that they kept stressing how important it was to work with our younger students because they felt that the younger kids look up to what they see in the neighborhood. Those are their role models. So they emulate what they see. So they stress that quite a bit. And also they stress the need for exposure, to get young people, students out of their neighborhoods and give them the opportunities to know that there are other avenues and there's another world outside of their city block.
I'm sitting on the focus group for community development for the funding that's coming to the city from whatever it's called, America, whatever it is, the Recovery Act.
Recovery Act, yeah.
And we're spending some time talking about the community development that they're going to maybe fund through that money. And there's not a lot of people speaking for youth. There's a lot of people on it that are Greenway people, or they're people who are, economic development. There's a bunch of fitness people, let's run a marathon. But there's not a lot of people who are approaching it from healthiness for our youth. There were a couple of people who spoke up to talk about it. And I also think it would be very powerful for them. I don't know when we're planning on doing this, but for them, that group, to hear what the youth were talking about when they talk about programming. And that, I mentioned Eureka Park and the community centers that are kind of falling down around them in the parks, that I thought would help youth. But I don't know. I just think that would be, there's a lot of things going on, and to have youth voice in it and for them to be speaking about what they want and what they need, I think would be powerful and helpful.
So let me make sure I understand what you're saying, Karen. To make certain that youth have an opportunity for their voices to really be heard, as to, especially like you said, there's so many focus groups and committees that are going on everywhere in Roanoke City. And I wonder that same thing. How many of them are able to really get a true youth representation?
Well, when a 61-year-old woman is the one speaking for the youth, you know there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Nothing, no. And can I speak? This is my 26th year, and I started in prevention, and I started at Patrick Henry High School, and everything I learned that first few years about gangs came from a white girl. And so, to be very blunt, I think that Roanoke is behind the curve when it comes to knowing what's going on in our communities with gang affiliation. I got into a lot of trouble. I was constantly being called down as if I weren't a grown woman with a child myself, because I kept using the word gang. And they were saying that these kids are not really in gangs, they're in groups. I said, they're not reading scriptures to the blind, guys. They are posturing as if they are in a gang. And they were like, well, they just are pretending. I said, and I kept saying, it doesn't matter. Right. They are exhibiting behaviors to keep them involved with groups that make them feel like they're wanted, and it was family for them. And so it didn't really matter whether they were really affiliated with a nationally known gang. What mattered is wherever they were rapping, whatever neighborhood, they were still hurting each other to be part of something. And I think we spent way too many years worrying about the verbiage. And I hear you. I think we need to call it whatever the kids are calling it. But I think Roanoke in general needs a wake-up call. We also need to stop acting like it's us versus them. The reason we're still talking about things that are important, greenways and such, is that people don't think it's their problem. The kids don't look like their kids. But everything I learned about gangs came from a white girl that told us we were stupid because we were so busy looking at Black boys. And this was 26 years ago.
Wow.
We weren't even noticing. The boys weren't allowed to wear their bandanas anymore because they were not allowed to fly their colors in school. Their girlfriends would wear them. The girlfriends would fly them out of their back pocket, and we were just thinking we had done something because we were not letting the boys do it. There's so many things that kids can tell us, but until we stop acting like it's those kids over there, we're going to continue to miss the kids that are right in front of us. Like I said, the girl that I was working with, they were white kids. These were not Black kids. The Black kids never told me about their gang affiliation. White kids came on a regular basis because they were ready to talk. So all I'm saying is, as we're thinking about it and putting it together, we continue to honor kids. Kids are still center in this, but we got to understand that the adults in this community, we're not ready. We're not ready to tell the truth, which is if those kids don't look like my kids, I'm not dealing with that. And I think every child in Roanoke is vulnerable, and county too. I'm a county parent. We're vulnerable, and they are, because all of the kids need to feel connected to something. And I think COVID almost killed a lot of kids in this area. So if we're going to do it, we're going to have to do it bold, and we're going to have to do it big, and we're going to have to save some children's lives in the process. And I agree, we got to start doing it when they're little, because that's when they start feeling disenfranchised.
There you go.
You want me to pass the collection plate?
We'll pass it. You're on preach. But you, Dana, I just wrote that down. We got to be bold. And I hear what you're saying, that I think that's why we are so far behind, because unfortunately we spent too many years saying there was no gangs in Roanoke City. So
Javion,
what was that?
did Javion want to say something?
Yes, I did. If I
Yes,
could.
sir. Go right ahead. Thank you.
We had this discussion a couple of weeks ago. Ms. Marino might remember it, in our NAACP meeting, and I said this all goes up to one thing. It's all about money. They want money, and I told Councilman they do. I'm gonna be honest. They do. That's what they want.
Go ahead.
And I told Councilman Joe Cobb, we need to invest in jobs for our young people. We need to invest in, because I know there are labor laws that certain kids under a certain age can't get jobs, but we need to invest in little things. I know Goodwill has little jobs, summer jobs. We just need to invest in jobs for our young people.
Yes, and Davion, we did. And one of the things that I did touch base on in reference to those jobs is because only certain companies within this city that were hiring people 14 and up. And that's only Chick-fil-A and Kroger. And so those are the only two that will hire the teens, but at the same time, they have a limited amount of teens that they will hire under the age of 16. So it's based on all the legalities and making sure that those kids, they can't work but a certain amount of hours. They can't work past dark. They can't. So there's a whole bunch of things going on with that. But that's one of the things too, is trying to get those kids in a job, doing something, internship, mentorship, not to use that word mentor because some people don't like that either. Go ahead, Javion.
Yeah, and I understand because I was one of those kids. I started working when I was 15, and it took me a year and a half to get a job. As soon as I turned 14, that's when I started looking for my job. And it was a hassle. There's a lot of things you have to go through to get a job. And unfortunately, I wish there was a way we could make it easier for them.
You know what, folks? I say all the time, you can't address what you don't first acknowledge. So the issues and things, concerns that you're bringing up, they all go hand in hand. Young people want money. They want and they want a decent amount of money. But that's a whole issue in itself, because if you can't see how the connection to, if I get this minimum wage job, how's that going to help me when I can turn something else over here in the streets? It's a value center as well. So yeah, it's multifaceted and it is so complex. Yes. I think there is a lot of angles that this can be addressed. I heard some.
Sorry, it was Joyce. I want you to finish your thought and then I just have a question.
Sure. The other thing I was just going to say is that it's very multifaceted, and I think what we're going to have to do is to figure out how many chunks do we, how do we approach this? Go ahead, Joyce.
I joined on my phone. I have to run an errand. But I've been thinking about this a lot, and I absolutely 100% agree with everything that everyone is saying. This is timely and we need this. But I think one of my concerns is, how do we have an event, or if we're thinking about having an event, and avoid more violence?
So can you elaborate a little bit more? What do you mean?
Well, what we're finding, and I don't know if anybody agrees with me on this or not, but what we're finding is whenever you have, these settings where you're trying to have an event to prevent violence, youth violence, and that kind of thing, the kids that maybe are in middle school to high school, those kids, some of the ones that we're trying to help or reach out to already have some sort of affiliation, or there's some kind of beef going on. And if they know where one of them is going to be, or that they know of an event that's targeting their groups, they, could show up and there could be more violence. So how do we take care of that?
Could I answer that?
Absolutely.
This doesn't work as a generalized answer. I just can give you a example. Last weekend, last Saturday in the daytime at the actual Juneteenth event, some of those quote unquote kids that y'all are talking about were actually at the event. And I just simply, without causing a scene, I went over there to them. I asked them if they know what Juneteenth was about. We just simply talked about what the festival was about. I told them to go get some food. And honestly, they were problem free. I believe the situation was, honestly, if I didn't go over there and speak to them and just kind of talk to them, let them know we see them, et cetera, it may have turned into something that nobody realized. But if the event is for the kids and we're actually interacting with the kids, I think it'll be okay.
Good. And you know what, the other thing too, Doug, while you were speaking, I was thinking about the affiliations that you have with other youth groups. And that's something too that we want to capitalize on to be appealing to the student that we need. We don't want to be preaching to the choir. You know what I'm saying? We want to build this tent and get those kids in that might be on the fence. But here we have an opportunity to not only provide resources for support and mentoring, even though mentoring might be, whatever, but we're trying to make certain that the student, the kind of kid that needs that support system, that they're not feeling alone and out there and isolated, and that the only other avenue for them to take is towards something that's a negative path.
On a positive note for that, I will tell you that I don't know if you guys watched the school board meeting the other night or not, but there's going to be data showing how to help identify these kids that are at risk at an earlier age. And so the school division would be able to help without singling folks out, but maybe making a suggestion, of who should attend if we had something.
So that's a perfect segue into the next question. All right. As a body, it sounds like we are in agreement to have a summit. We're not quite sure what avenues it'll take, but are we in agreement that we should definitely support having another summit? Pamela, was your hand up? And let me also throw this out to you. All right, so the world is coming back. I won't ask this group how many of you have been vaccinated, but the world, yes. So, as you see in the agenda, if we are moving forward with having, because we had a great virtual summit, but do we want to do the next one virtually or in person?
That one I suggest.
Wait, let's go to Javion first.
That one I suggest playing by ear because there is still a new variant out. And I know I'm even safe when I'm at work because right now I'm just sitting in a little corner by myself. That's why I'm not wearing my mask. But when I'm in a popular area, I wear my mask. But I just said we got to watch that one by ear. Play that one by ear because there is still a new variant out and it's coming to the US and it's spreading quickly.
Great. Thank you, darling. I'm glad to hear that coming from you. Other thoughts?
I would say if we honestly want to impact the kids that we're trying to reach, they need to be there sitting down in person to actually have that whole wraparound service. It's just not going to be, honestly, just through teaching in school. That virtual just doesn't, once they zone out, they're gone. And if we're talking about summit being longer than an hour, I would say longer than 45 minutes. I don't know how long you plan to keep them attentive.
I agree with Doug. It needs to be in person.
Javion, did you have another comment?
No, I definitely agree. It needs to be in person. That part I'm not even going to fight about that, but it's when. It's just when.
The when?
It's the when part. When, how far? Are we going to follow CDC guidelines? Are we going to make everybody wear the mask?
And see, all of those logistical things, we definitely need time to work out. Personally, now in the past, I know we have, tried to shoot for the beginning of school. Because of everything that everyone just said, the working out the logistics, the where, the when. What safety precautions are we gonna have in place?
Well, we could have it outside somewhere though.
That's a thought.
Depends on how hot it is.
I know, but if we get, yes, it definitely does depend on how hot it is. I mean, so if we were gonna have it, you know, between now and early fall or mid-fall, I'd say try to have it outside, which would decrease the number of logistics we'd have to worry about. You know, PH and Fleming both have nice stadiums. Who's to say we couldn't have it in the stadium? PH and Fleming both have nice spaces outside their cafeterias. Especially PH has a really nice place outside their cafeteria that my PTA built.
Oh my goodness, here we go again.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, you're right though. I mean, even if we decide to do it like in the parking lot, in the student parking, we can still be able to put tents out and still have the different breakouts.
Right.
And doing it that way. And that way we'll still break down some of those. And you know, William Fleming has a wonderful student parking lot.
They do, a much nicer one than PH.
So before we get into all of that,
Y'all sound like gangs.
Doug, just so you'll know, we have this little friendly little going back and forth. There was thoughts of perhaps in October. I was looking at the school calendar as far as, you know, what's coming up. And we don't, like I said, we're not going to try to pinpoint a day right now. I just want to get a feel from us as a group. Like I said, personally, I think September is just too soon.
So what we know about when school starts is, you know, the facilities get used up. The facility, so we don't have as much free access to the facilities because they're being used for other things. So and the kids are busier, you know, they're more.
Yeah, that's true too.
Except
Joyce, if that's you, darling, it's working up. Joyce, you're breaking up, dear.
We can't hear you.
Why couldn't we do a park at all?
Say that again.
Why don't we go to a park?
I'm sorry. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Yeah, sorry. So why can we switch it up for once and go and have it maybe in a park?
Okay.
If we decide to have it in the fall, if we can get a date pinned down, I think we can advertise it at the back to school extravaganza and we can have more eyes being able to see the flyer.
Has a date been set for that? For the back to school?
Isn't it always the week before school?
It's usually that weekend, yes, but I'll call Kelly and ask her.
Okay, when you find out, because
I haven't seen the date yet.
Yeah, but that's what I was asking. So when either of you find the date, if you could shoot us the date so that we're all, you know, in the loop.
I mean, you've always wanted to do it at the Civic Center. If we had, you know,
this
might be the year.
This might be the year because we can certainly spread out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Thank you, Sister.
Eureka's nice too.
I always wanted the Civic Center.
I mean, it is kind of halfway in between. It's not, you know, one or the other. It elevates it up to something, a community event.
I totally agree with that. That it does elevate it.
Yes.
I know weather can be an issue, but is there any efficacy in doing it at the start of the second semester? I just feel like there's less going on in the students' minds. They're going to be starting school in the fall. They're going to be coming back in person for the first time. I just think, I don't know.
You know, I think with the gun violence task force, with the city schools supporting this, I think in a way that maybe we haven't seen in the past. It might be the year to move it to the Civic Center and really try to do something impactful and large. Maybe this is your year for 200 people, Anita.
Or more. Just thinking about.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you all were talking September, October, I was thinking Elmwood Park. Obviously, Elmwood Park would not work in January. It would be much too cold and whatever else. But for that same reason that some of you have shared, just the pomp of it, the ease of transportation. You know, Elmwood Park is central. It's a known elevated quantity of our community, and it's a beautiful, you know, amphitheater there, which makes it great for speakers and things like that as well. But just another idea on the table, depending on time of year and things like that.
I was thinking the same thing when I said park.
Elmwood, yeah.
We might even be able to bring the main library into play there.
I was thinking that too, that if we, you know, did.
Well, here's the thing. I forgot who just said it, but you're right. We've got so many partners who are ready and willing and recognize the necessity for us to work together. You know, that what is it called, Karen? I'd never get it correct. The
Gun Violence Commission. On,
yeah.
Angie O'Brien is the person you should ask for the right name, but I think it's the Commission on Gun Violence.
I think that's what it is. Between that group, Roanoke City Schools, the police department for that matter. I mean, we've got several different entities who I feel are ready and willing to join together. So I'm looking at the time.
My question about Elmwood Park is that my understanding right now is it's basically so far packed for the next several months, all the way up into October. Am I wrong? Because my understanding is that they're having several things for all of September is basically covered. And I think some of October, but I'm not quite sure of the actual schedule of Elmwood Park. I can guarantee that September is already booked.
Well,
and it also depends on the day that we plan on having.
Exactly. And like I said, you know, the fact that we really need time for planning. And this is the other thing I wanted to throw out or suggest, that because, you know, look how much time we're, you know, deliberating over these logistical questions. What I want to do, with your permission, is to reach out to representatives whom we do have in this group. Karen, Jim just had to jump off, but they're connected to the commission and these other groups. So with your permission, I'd like to reach out to them, to Joe Cobb, Councilman Joe Cobb, and get a feel for what can we do working collaboratively. Is that, do I have your permission to do that?
So what we know is that we could put on a youth summit tomorrow, probably, with Blue Ridge doing something they do, Dina does something she does, I do something I do. You know, Pamela probably has something in her back pocket that she does. And Doug, I don't know him, but I'm looking at him on Facebook. I'm thinking he's probably got something in his back pocket he does. And so, you know, that we could do it tomorrow. But if we want to do it in an impactful way where maybe we have not the tried and true. We have, you know, we really think about, see what's been done other places and done successfully. I think we need time to research that and find the right
That's
people and do the right things.
That's it. Because
Yes.
I really, I'm going back to what Dina said. We're gonna be bold. I mean, this is not gonna be the same old youth summer. This thing gonna be big. It's gonna be impactful. We're gonna have dinners. We're gonna have more than Chick-fil-A. We're gonna have.
Then we're going to send you out finding dinner again. You can spend us all summer. And then we're going to say, nope, we're sticking with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, because
Poor Ben will go do all his research.
the
and
kids
we'll go right
always
back to
want Chick-fil-A. They don't want to change. They just want to go to
I'm
Chick-fil-A.
Charlie Brown running up to
Hey,
kick.
nothing wrong with Chick-fil-A. Nothing wrong with Chick-fil-A.
All right. Oh, this has been a great conversation. All right, so I feel like we're on the right track, and definitely we can continue to move forward. Okay, yay. Anything else as far as for the good of the cause? For I think we kind of got an idea of what direction we're headed for. As far as announcements, Angie sent you a flyer. You can't see it on this one. It's going to be presented. It's for teens ages 12 to 18.
So is the library putting together a mentorship program? Is that what that is?
It's a young man, Doug. I don't know, and I don't have his name now. I thought it was
It's not on there. I thought it was just a library.
It's not the library. It's a young man. I'm sorry. Guys, I'll have to get some more details and send it to you. But it's a young man who it's called Bridging Something. And he got funding from one of the mini grants that the city offered. And this is one of his programs. So it's being presented at the library.
His name is Jalen.
What is it? Yes.
Jalen, yes, ma'am. He was a counselor at Addison Middle
That's
School.
it.
And he wanted to work with some of his kids continuously into the summer. Didn't want to kind of lose that progress that he's made with the kids.
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of led up to that.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's someone that you know of, and
Correct. Last year, well, the year that just ended when I was working in Addison, he was working with some of the same kids as I was after school.
okay. All right. So I wanted to bring this to your attention so that if any of you know some students that you could, you want to refer for this, by all means do so. Okay. Aisha, are you available, darling?
After this meeting?
Hey, listen. Oh, and Angie's there too. Okay, one of you please answer this question. What is the status for our next upcoming meetings? I wanted one of you to explain about us meeting in person versus virtual.
Is Angie there? I know she was popping in and out because she had a conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
I'm here. I can do that. Okay, so with the end of the governor's executive orders and the recent or more recent CDC guidance, all of our boards and commissions are moving back into person or in person starting in the July 1 meetings. So we would be able to provide a hybrid version, but you would have to have a quorum present at the actual meeting for you all to be able to meet. So that is the new upcoming guidance from the city. So in saying that, we'll just need to figure out whether you want it to be an ongoing location, move around, or do you want to continue on with the same day, the fourth Monday of the month at 4:30? Do you guys want to make any modifications to your schedule? That's for you guys to decide.
Yes. That is the big $54,000 question. And Angie, I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the meeting, we were just saying that Javion popped on during his lunch break, and the other kids, they're working. So maybe we need to do a doodle poll to see if there is a better day of the week, time, whatever. I mean, I know there's no magic day or time that's going to be conducive for the majority. But and Angie, I'm glad you were able to pop back in. But guys, I wanted you to hear that we have to start meeting in person starting in July. Coupled with how are we going to meet, and I mean, not how, but my biggest concern is making allowances for the youth to be able to be present. So that is another big issue for us. Yay.
Where would we meet when we meet in person?
Oh, yeah, go back to Gainsborough Library.
Okay.
Unless there's a place that's more centrally located, I mean, we're open to whatever works best for the majority of the group.
I heard they'd renovated since we've been there.
I went down there today. It is drop dead gorgeous.
Did they lose the little conference room to the left of the desk? I love that conference room, that small one.
Oh, yeah, that's still available, but then the one on the right where we normally, yeah, there's a brand new screen has been put up. You know, you can.
That's my favorite library. I love that library.
It is a beautiful library. It's even prettier now. It's very pretty. So as you can tell, folks, we have a lot to digest.
Yes.
So let's just recap real quickly. We will be meeting, our next meeting is July 26th. And for now, we'll just go ahead and keep that date until we can figure out something else. And Gainsborough Library, 4:30. Will that work for the majority of us?
I won't be there. That's my birthday. But it's also, we're going on vacation that week. So no matter what day you pick, I won't be able to.
Okay.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yay. So, I mean, we're certainly not going to be able, like I said, we've got a lot to digest, but let's just count on meeting next month at the Gainsborough Library until we can sift through all the logistical stuff we got to talk about or figure out. How's that?
Yeah, I'll be instead of 15 minutes late, I'll be 20.
Okay, because you got to get there.
I gotta get there. Yeah.
And Angie and I will talk further about this whole thing of, you know, the majority, a quorum. Let me make sure I have it straight. A quorum has to be physically present.
Yes.
Others can still Zoom in. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if it's needed. You know, we don't want people to take advantage of that, I guess, in a way. Like if you can physically be at the meeting, we want you at the meeting. But if there's a desperate need that you need to Zoom in, then that's fine.
Okay. Miss Anita, how many do we, or whomever, how many do we need to make a quorum?
50%.
I mean, how many? Thank you. I mean, how many?
That was the easy answer.
Yeah, math makes me itch. Thanks, Angie. I meant how many people are actually on the active members of this committee, so we know.
Oh, Vivian's not here today.
No, she sent me an email. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aisha.
I believe you need 8 because I think you have 15 members and 2 alternates.
Okay, good. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
wait,
you.
Aisha, what'd you say? 8. I thought that was the magic number.
Yes.
Bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that gives us, okay. All right, anything else for the good of the cause?
I'm walking back to my department right now. I know I said I was gone, but I was walking back to my department. On the next meeting, our new schedule has not popped out yet, and due to the low unemployment things that are going on nationally at the moment, they're really lenient on letting people off on their requested days off. But I will ask about it, but I don't think so because it is also a Monday. So I don't think so. I will be there. I will try that.
We got you. We understand, dear. We're gonna figure this out. We'll come up with something.
You know, I mean, we used to have to meet with youth one day and adults another day because we couldn't get people together. But that's still meaning we're speaking, then whoever's meeting with the youth is bringing it back to the adults, and
Right.
the adults are still speaking for the kids. I just don't think that's ideal. I think
that's something, Karen, I was thinking that same possibility to, yeah, I was thinking that too, because that did work in the past to work. In fact, we got more kids. We didn't have just the youth representatives. We had a selection of kids, young people, I'm sorry, young folks that would come, and then we could convey back to the adult body. We'll make it work. We'll figure out something. I want to thank you all. Aisha, is always so good to have you. Mwah. Aisha is going to always be part of us.
Can I make a quick announcement? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes. Any other announcements? Yes.
Right. The NAACP Youth Council will be having a car wash on July 24th on Williamson Road at the AutoZone from 10 until 2. So if you need your car wash, come out and support. If you don't want us to wash your car, still bring us your money. We'll take that too. So it's going to be July 24th from 10 to 2 at the AutoZone on Williamson Road. I think there's only one. I don't really have an address, so that's really bad. But I'll send it out to you once we get the flyer together. Okay?
Yeah. All right. Any other announcements? Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. And if all hearts and minds are clear, this wonderful, gorgeous meeting, and I love you all, is now adjourned. Take care. God bless you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you next month.
Take care. Douglas.
Take care, everyone.